Hello everybody and welcome to Wesley's Plant World with me, Wesley Peterson, and today we are in the area of my garden here at Crystal Cottage called the Botanical Garden, and behind me I have a huge expanse of a beautifully flowering plant. This is my Hydrangea arborescens Annabell, and this plant has done fantastically in my plant for many years now. In fact, it's done fantastically in my garden since we've been living at this cottage, which is almost 8 years now. And this was a little ball of this plant out on the far edge of our garden here in the area that I now call Westside Garden. And I basically dug up the roots and I split them and I placed them along the edge of these borders I have here, and they have just spread out and grown up like crazy the last, well, they must have been in the ground here for at least 5 years. And I've actually pruned them right down a couple of times and they just come up like this every year. And well, as you can see, they can get tall. They're absolutely fantastic. If I go even further back, I'll be able to show what I mean. So if I stand here, they're taller than me, and that means they're actually more than 1.5 meters because I'm 165. So these are absolutely fantastic plants, and the ones down here at the bottom that aren't in the bright sunshine stay beautifully white. And I've noticed all these ones up here that are in the burning sun nearly all day long, because this is southern facing, are burning out the flowers, so they get all these brown patches on them. So I've decided, after all these years in this position, these plants aren't actually in the right position for them. And I want to reorganize this because we have a little pathway in between here actually, and to the side there and here, and none of them we can use, but they're just for design aesthetics. But I still would like to reorganize this so that I can see through. And I wanted these growing out like this for now because they've given us a huge coverage while we didn't have any of the Thuja occidentalis brabant around the edge of our grounds that have grown out fantastically now, and other bushes that have grown up and matured. But now, because they have, we don't need this expanse of this bush as I've let it grow out now. Now, you don't have to let this bush grow like this. You can whack it back every year and it will grow out to probably around 1 meter, and you'll get strong, beautiful green stalks and then lovely big leaves and flowers on them, because they grow and flower out on new growth every year. So you don't have to worry about cutting back this hydrangea. It will flower for you exactly the next year after you've done that. Now it's the middle of August and I could wait a little bit longer and enjoy this beautiful effect for a longer period. And usually I just leave all these flowers on because they actually stay these lovely brown balls standing up like this all winter long. So they give this beautiful winter interest. It's actually fantastic. But I've decided to get this done now while I have time to do things like this, so I've got to get it done. So I am going to make this a bit easier for me this time. With some of the plants, I will just whack them down to half, take up the root balls and plant them in the areas of the garden where I want them. And some, if I want to keep the effect this year, just for a little bit longer, because I've just done this in another video where I took a piece, a big lump, or a few lumps out of the backside there and planted them over in the backside of my botanical garden, where I've made new borders and a new pathway. So if you go back and see that video, you will actually see the lump that I took out the back here and planted over there. It's doing absolutely fantastic. I've left it with its flowers and leaves on, and it's just not wilted at all. It's absolutely fantastic. As long as it's kept watered, that's absolutely fine. So I might do that with some of this, but to be able to get in here, I'm going to have to prune back the first flowers because I'll never be able to get into the bottom to be able to get the root balls up. So basically, I am going to get on with this. And the first thing I need to do is get this table out of the way. So right, the table's out of the way. I have this lovely enclave here, and I'm ready to start pruning back on this bush. So where are my secateurs, my gloves and my wheelbarrow? Because I need to disperse of all of this debris straight away. So as I said, this is not going to harm this bush at all. In fact, by cutting it back, I'm only going to invigorate it even more, because it will fight back and it will shoot up a lot of fresh new shoots next year. And another thing I want to show you a little bit later in this video is, I know that when I take the root balls of this plant up, and I think that I've taken most of it out, I won't have. This plant spreads so easily in its root system, and in fact, if you put it in the wrong place, it could become kind of a weed. Because when I take these out, like I've done on the backside over there, I'll show you a little bit later. I did that before. I took all of that edge out because I wanted to use that pathway, and I thought I took up the root lumps because I really did get in and dig, and the whole thing grew back. And that is the piece that I've planted out in the other border on the other side. So it's fine if it does grow back. I'll just do a different style this time here. I'll keep them pruned right down and let them grow to the meter tall and enjoy the flowers that come out that way, instead of letting them grow wild like this. So where to start? I just need to go in and grab handfuls just so I can start getting in there. So there's some of the, there's some of the first ones, and you can see how the flowers burn out in direct sun. So these plants are better in a bright, indirect, sunny position. Shady position, they'll grow slower and smaller flowers maybe, but bright, indirect light is the best for these plants, but definitely not bright, direct sunshine burning on them in a sudden exposure like these. But I also want to show you an example of a piece that was hidden in the shady part, and look at this white flower. Isn't that just amazing? And look at the size of it compared to my face. These flowers can get really, really big. So it's absolutely beautiful in the right areas in your garden. Now already I'm starting to rediscover my little pathway in here, and it feels great. This is amazing. This plant is actually an amazing plant, really it is. Now I'm discovering while I'm doing this, a lot of this is brand new green stems that have all grown out this year. If you look at all this, it's green. That means it's this year's growth, and it is just crazy. It's grown over 1 meter in a year. Sometimes in a garden, you just have to be brutal. The thought of it in the beginning is like, oh, I just don't want to do that. All those flowers, look how beautiful it is. But then you discover, already just looking at this, without it being completely tidied up, the pathway, and I can see into the back of the botanical garden there, and 2 borders that I have. It looks better already. So I'm actually really enjoying getting in and doing this right now. I have lots in the back here in the middle that will regrow next year, because I'm not going to try and take out all of those roots. And that's good, because I really do want this to grow here again, because I do love seeing all the flowers. But sorting it out is also important to maintain a beautiful lush bush. I also have my 9-bulk that's growing out crazy here, so I might, oh, secateurs has fallen down. So I might as well cut that back a little bit as well, so that I can get into here. There we go, take that as well. So now I can already start walking through my alleyway again here, and this plant has creeped all the way into the other side of this pathway to the back, which is absolutely fine, because there it's in the shade and the flowers won't get burnt. I don't mind that fact, but it's also growing up in my little pathway here, and I don't want that. So pull those up out of the ground. Now you can understand for sure, right, why this video has the title Brutal, and I mean brutal, Hydrangea arborescens Annabell, Cutback, because this plant needs it. Now, I'm thinking I do want to put some of this into my cozy cove area, and I would like it to stay up so I can enjoy just the look at the leaves and so forth for the rest of the year. So I'm going to leave these parts that I can get into now longer and replant them like that. And the rest down here were absolutely perfect the way they are, because then I can go, more of this nine bark that needs to be cut back as well. Then I can go and get that effect already this year with these. So look at that, I have a lovely green expanse right into the back of the botanical garden now, so I really don't need to keep this blocked anymore. So the first couple of bushes I am going to take out are the ones that are close to the edge of this border, because they always grow up and they will completely cover this again, no problem next year. So time to dig up the first bushes, but before I do that I need to get rid of all of my debris. I want to show you how much I've got. Woo. So I got all of this, all of this biomass, which I am going to be placing in the back of my new border I made in the botanical garden where I made my new pathway, because this will all break down and become soil. So this is going directly over there to do the job of becoming a beautiful compost first. So I'm glad I got rid of all of those, and they can become a fantastic biomass in my garden, which is very important. Never waste any of the green material that you have in your garden if you do not need to, because it's so good to become a compost. It gets broken down by all the biodiversity in the soil that's already on the ground, and the plants get all the benefits of all the nutrients, and there's lots of nutrients in this. So, right, I'm going to have to find myself my spade, pull back these rocks and start ripping up these roots. So my beautiful, beautiful rocks that I love at the moment are going to be in the way, because these roots are hiding under all of these rocks. And, well, that's no good. So let's get this first root mass out of the ground so I can show you what their roots are like. They could be a bit difficult to get up because they can get quite big, thick root balls that are very strong. Like this one. Oh my, that was really tightly in there. So these are really tightly in here, I can feel, so this is going to take some time. So I'm just going to get on with this in fast forward and show you the roots when I get some of them up. So right, I've had to fight a huge and long battle to get these roots up out of the ground. And I've left this one tall piece, as I said, I want to have a taller piece in my cozy cove in a corner where I have the height and everything straight away. I think when I get this planted and really well watered, it will do fine. I want to show you these roots because this plant has rhizomous roots that spread very easily, and they are very, very difficult to get up. And well, they have the hugest taproot as well that goes deep down. So all I've basically done here is I've capped these plants. So it looks like there's nothing here, it's completely gone. But I am telling you, next year, 100% of this plant is going to come up all around the edge of this border again. And in a couple of years, it will have just grown up all the way up again if I allow it to. So when it grows back this time, I'm going to keep it around the 1 meter height and enjoy it that way so I can see all the plants behind. But it's most definitely going to come back, and you're going to see why when you see the roots on this huge piece here. Now, look at this. Can you see those roots? Lots and lots and lots of rhizomes, and the taproot at the bottom that I had to rip off. I hope you can see that clearly. all of that's been ripped apart, but there's so many roots on this plant. And this, again, is a plant that basically is a colony of plants, because every single stem and every single root piece will produce a whole new plant. So this is a beautiful arrangement. If I bring it and turn it around, you can see I have a whole bunch. It's lovely with its roots. There you go. Ready to be planted out straight away and carry on as if nothing ever happened to it. Not only that one, I do have another one here where I half chopped it, so I might as well go and chop the rest off. But I just want to show you here, this one had the most huge taproot as well. So look at the taproot, just so that you understand how well these plants fix themselves into the ground and carry on growing into these huge monsters that this has become. And if I hold this bush up like this, well, as you can see, I'm 1.65 meters tall, and this bush is taller than me, it's 1.80. So this bush actually can get to around 2 meters tall probably. So before I carry on here, I need to go and get these planted straight away and well watered in, so I'll see you back here in a moment. So that was the first parts of my hydrangea in their new positions, and I will show you those later on. Now I want to get on and tidy up this border here on this side before I start on the one behind me here. And now I have the opportunity to get in and actually prune off the last top parts of my 9 bark up here and my yew bush here on the side, so that I'll have an open pathway later on. So I'm going to scrape up all of the debris that are lying around and place them back in this border so that they can go back to nature and become a soil compost. There are lots of roots and all sorts lying around here. I'm just going to place all that back in this border because I've decided there's no point fighting this plant. Once it's in and its roots are in, it's near enough impossible to get out if you have other plants around, because you'll never be able to get every piece. So this is going to rebound back next summer, and I really can't wait to show you that because it's going to be amazing. So for now, it will just be tidied up and then cleaned up, and then during the autumn, I will be able to put a layer of leaves on top, and then we'll see what bounces back. But this is a perfect opportunity to get in and tidy up, and I'm feeling really good about this. So let me just get on with this. So now that I am finished with border number 1, I can get on with number 2. But before that, I just want to show you that I managed to get in and get myself a load of beautiful cuttings. These are from my evergreen yew bush, and these are from my 9-bark Diabolo. So there are lots and lots of them, and I am looking forward to getting those in pots later on so that I can get them going as cuttings. But for now, I'm just going to leave them in some water because I need to carry on with the job at hand. So once again, the first thing I need to do is get these rocks out of the way because the roots are growing in under them and enjoying that, which will make it very difficult for me to get in. And some of them are very heavy. Slugs. Like this. Some of these are growing in front of the rocks. Worry about that later. Another rock out of the way. There we go. That's a couple at least for now. The roots have really grown well underneath these rocks here, I can see. So that is enough for now, I think. So now I just need to start trying to dig out these plants again. And I'm telling you, this is a really long, hard procedure because these roots really difficult to get up. Now these rocks are in the way. Some might come up easier than others, like this piece here. Sounded like it did. Hasn't broken away yet. I thought it had. Here it comes maybe. Thing is, every time you break a stem and leave some root, well, basically you've created a new plant where you think you've taken them out, you haven't. All you've done is basically prune them right down to the ground and they will pop up again next year. So, first little piece, put that in some water over here on the side like I have with the rest of them to keep them hydrated until I get them out where I need them to be. There's a rock in the middle again here, which was obviously used to support the first rock, but I need to get it out. Oh, and it's a really big one out as well, so that was not very good there. So now, this piece here, I might have to get out very soon. A piece there, and more pieces coming here, root there, dead piece there. So basically this is how I need to carry on. This is going to take me quite some time because the taproot that goes down in the bottom needs to be sawn off to get these bushes up. So I'm just going to get on with this and then I will show you when I'm finished. So look here, and I can tell you for nothing that I've just fought one of my life's greatest battles. These roots were so difficult to get up. I've been at this for hours and it doesn't seem like that to you because I have just left the camera off while I've fought on. And now that I've got these out and I've got the large parts that I wanted to get planted in Cozy Cove, where I'm going to go and show you what they look like now. And then I'm going to come back and tidy up the stone border, and this will all be finished. I just want to prune a little bit on the side so this pathway is clear here. And then this area will look absolutely fabulous in just a few minutes. So let's first go over to Cozy Cove to see the hydrangeas that I've already planted there. Whew. So into Cozy Cove we go. And the first hydrangea I want to show you that I've planted is over here in the corner. A big, beautiful bush. Look at that. Still all the flowers, still all the leaves plumped up. And this one I actually hardly had to break any of the roots. And it had soil still around the roots, so I could just get it in the ground, add some soil and water it through. And it is looking very happy. So I am going to wait to prune it back because I want to enjoy the look of this. But the best thing to do would of course be to prune it right down to half, take half the leaves and all the flowers off to give this plant a chance to boost back its roots. But I did this with larger plants that I've removed with my other project, and they are still, at the end of the second day, plumped up and looking fantastic. So they are actually very robust plants. So now, past all of my beautiful lady ferns here, look at these, they're absolutely gorgeous as well, right? And then down in this corner here, I have my next border full of this hydrangea and again lady ferns in front. This is a border that I've had nothing really going on in for years now, and I really needed something that was robust, that could cope with a shadier situation, and once established, drying out, because this plant is actually quite good at coping with drought, because those plants I've had have been in a southern exposure and sometimes completely dry and still produce hundreds of flowers. And well, drying out, that also caused them to get the browning, burning marks on the flowers, of course. So keeping them hydrated and in a semi-shady position like this, they will have beautiful white flowers like the ones down here. These I planted in last year, just as a test, and look at these lovely small white flowers. Not a drop of burning on them, not a drop. Beautiful flowers. So I know that this semi-shady, shady situation is perfect for these plants. So from the other perspective here, there they are. And well, they're gonna grow up to that 2 meter tall and fill out this spot very nicely. This has been a fantastic transplantation. So now let me get back to tidying up the rest of my border. So the border's coming along now, and having expanded the area a little bit actually feels really good. I feel like I've opened up the botanical garden and given a little bit more space. So one more rock is needed here to fill out this little piece here. Now, oh, I'm having a bit of trouble getting them to stand up. I need a support stone. Good, I have one here. This one I'll put behind these two, like that. These rocks, they, with time, sink down into the ground, so they support themselves very well. But in the beginning, when you've moved them, they stay quite loose for a while. So they need all the support they can get in any way they can get it. So there we go. Now I have 3 large rocks left, which I need at the back of my new pathway. So I'll just put these together with 3 others I have over here that I've managed to take away during this reconstruction. Oi. So, and then I just have a little bit more tidying up to do, and then this is going to look amazing. My hair is not though, I can feel that. But at the moment, I just don't care. Right, get some of these weeds out of the pathway. Grass and so forth growing in over the stone, so you can't actually see that this is a pathway here. I don't want that. So out they all come and into the border, behind all the other large shrubs there. Big tuft of grass, I don't want to see that. There we go. So, actually it's a very quick job to do because they're just around and on top of the stones here in this pathway. I have a fern that's come up by itself, a dryopteris, I can see. That is lovely, so that is going to be able to stay there. I love that when they just come up some places and look nice. So I just want to give this a quick rake over and a brush of the paths, and then I feel that this looks good enough. So first of all, a quick brush of the stones to take off some of the rubbish and debris as much as possible before I spray them over with water, just to clean it out a little bit. All 3 of my pathways here. Now let me rake a little bit. I can feel that I forgot to put my gloves on. It's a big difference in the feeling in my hands, and I usually have gloves on for the hard work because otherwise I get blisters, and that's not a very nice thing to get, is it? This area here has no grass, but it will grow out very quickly. Right, now I just want to spray over a little bit and then I'll take you in for a closer look. So because I've disturbed a lot of the roots, not only of the hydrangeas that were here, but also my lovely shrubs that are growing in this border, I want to give everything a good water in. And I want to give it a good water in as well because I do want the hydrangea that were here to grow back. And well, I know they will, 100%, but this will just give them a good boost now that the roots have been ripped apart. Any that are lying under any piece of soil will start growing out new stems next year. It will be quite interesting actually to see how much comes up and how far it manages to grow in a season after this huge attack. Oh, they'll spray up into the bushes as well and just make them feel happy and hydrated and everything. The whole border. This is like a slow down moment, a really nice moment where I can just stand and enjoy the sound of water, which is always so therapeutic, and knowing that I'm regenerating my Hydrangea arborescens Annabell that is growing in these borders, even though it looks like it's completely disappeared right now. I've never done this to these here since I planted them. I think these were one of the first things I planted, so they've got to have been here 5 to 6 years. And I've cut them back, but I haven't actually ripped up the roots and split them like this. But this is what I did in the beginning, as I said, with a little bundle. And that little bundle became a huge, huge plant. And you've seen out in Cozy Cove now, I have a whole border full with this plant, which is going to be a big, beautiful plant next year already. And I'm really looking forward to that, giving colour and filling out the border. And then the large piece I have on the left side there, that will bounce back next year and give beautiful flowers, because I have ferns. I have mostly ferns in there and, well, plants that don't flower. So it's nice to put some hydrangea in there to give some flowers during the summer season. The only thing I'm really worried about now is I've exposed all of the stems on my shrubs here, and these stems, the deer that come into my garden, absolutely love to nibble on, well, not nibble on, they rip off the bark completely. And they will do that on both these here because this is prime bark, prime food for them for the winter months when there's not much else, and especially when it's snowing and so forth. So I am going to have to protect these for this winter until the hydrangea grows up in front again. I don't want these plants getting damaged. They've been fantastic for me for many years now. This was also a division that I took off the plant that I had out on the edge, and it was much, much smaller than this, and it's just grown out to be a beast. This 9 bark I bought on sale probably 3 years ago, a little tiny plant, and it's just grown magnificently and huge, and I've had to go in and shear it every single year. And not just that, I also of course want to clean my boulders because I love them looking clean and tidy. They're also a part of the whole theme. Ow, my finger. So I want them to look good. And then just tidy out these pathways a little bit, just so we can see that there's a pathway there. And then this one here, just give it a clean off. I can see you, you are there under all this dirt. And you're exposed again. So clean off all these rocks. This border I did water earlier. Just want to clean off all the pathways. There we go. Wet the ground down here that I've disturbed so much. Now I don't really need to worry about grass seeds here because this will just fill up with grass by itself in no time. Well, firstly moss and then grass. But if I have any grass seeds, I'll just throw a few down there at some point and then leave it to do its thing. There we go. That's enough for now. It doesn't have to be perfect. So now I need to move the camera so you can see the pathway right into the botanical garden. So here we go. Now you can see much deeper into the botanical garden. And I can see through this part of the botanical garden into this enclave and right through into the inner garden, out to the roadside and across. And it gives an open expanse of space. And oh, I am just loving this right now. This has gone so well. My pathways are back. Oh, it's just wonderful. I knew they were still there. Can you imagine this? From how it was at the beginning of this video, completely encased in Hydrangea arborescens Annabell. Well, they are still here, they are still strong, and they will be back. So I'm going to show you this at some point in the future when they've bounced back, because you won't believe it. And now I just need to show you, even though I've planted out a lot of stems in Cozy Cove, I have a whole wheelbarrow full of roots that I need to find new places for. So look at this. Ooh, this is pretty heavy, but look at this. This is, I mean, hundreds of roots in this pot here. And I've left them in here full of water because after all of this that I've done today, I'm too tired to carry on and go out and plant these where I want to plant them. I want to find different spaces around and about in my garden because it is a fantastic plant and it does work well for me. And another reason why it's very good is because the deer do not touch this plant at all. So I actually get a plant that grows robustly and gets big, beautiful white flowers that they don't go and eat off like they do on so many other plants. So this plant has to be a staple in my garden, and that is why I'm going to spread it everywhere. But be warned, if you place this out in your garden, make sure you put it somewhere where you want to keep it because it is nearly impossible to get all the roots up. And that's why I just have to accept that from now on, I will have this plant coming up in these borders, and that's absolutely fine. I just won't let them grow into monstrous plants like I've been letting them for the last couple of years to give us coverage. No, I'll keep them smaller. But this plant, do not plant it somewhere where you think you might want to move it in a couple of years because you're going to have a struggle and a fight. I've been at this all day long and I still haven't managed to get half of the plants planted today. I just can't. I haven't got the energy left. So this is all very wonderful. These can stay in water for the night, hydrating, and then I will plant them out wherever I want them. I don't need to do that on camera because you've seen enough now. And well, I am just so happy with all of this. So let's move this out of the way again so you can have a final look, and then we'll end this video. Well, I say final look. I haven't taken you in for a closer look all around everything, so I should do that before I end the video. So right, let's go in for a quick closer look so we can go straight forward and have a look down here. You can see this border. I've just put all the debris on the hydrangea in the border to become soil with time, so it becomes a good mulch for the roots that have been disturbed, and that will come up again. So this border here, and my lovely plants that I have in these borders already. You can see the little pathway on that side now, and the one in the middle, and then the one that goes off towards Courtyard Garden. So let's go through this first one now into the botanical garden. There we go. You can see our crystal cottage here. And then if I go back before I pan around, you'll be able to see that there's an open space all the way down to the inner garden now. This just feels so much better, so much cleaner and tidier. I really do like this. So we'll go round to the right and have a look around from this perspective in and go through. So this is the other part of the same hydrangea that I planted when I did my other video where I made my new pathway here. So go back and see that video. And then there is the little pathway here going back inside this little enclave. And then we can go through here. And then the other pathway here, I just need to prune back some of the hydrangea that I've left there on the front side. It doesn't get as brown, and I just thought I'd leave that there. I just need to prune the ones on the side there. So basically, that's what it all looks like. Everything's had a real good water and should come back perfectly in no time. Look at this. A view all the way from inside the inner garden. Wonderful. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing around the edge of all of these borders and how fantastic it is now that this is all opened up. And oh, Now I don't feel like I want to put the table back here in the middle. I actually want to keep this open, maybe put a chair or two with a little table so that it's easy to get around, because that table actually fills out the whole space here and makes it difficult to get around. And we don't actually sit here that often to eat. We have so many other tables, now and again we do, because here it gets very hot. This is the south, so when we sit here it's just too hot. But this could be a place where we hang our hammock and things like that as well. So keeping it open just feels wonderful. More space around all of the plants. So all I have to say now is, if you have Hydrangea arborescens Annabell, now you know you can go and make yourself thousands of plants from a small plant that you plant and divide and divide and divide and divide. And years later you will have them all over the place like I have. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.